California politicians are well known for wasting billions of taxpayer funds and worse, laundering taxpayer money to their campaigns and political causes. But what if I told you a race in November, in the November midterm election, 2026, could actually put a stop to all of that? It's called the comptroller's race. And who you vote for could have a profound impact on California politics and finances for years to come. Coming up, I want to introduce you to Reform California's candidate, our endorsed candidate for California Comptroller. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California and a California state representative. And people don't pay too much attention to down ticket races. Yeah, everyone focuses on the governor's race. And look, the governor is a pretty important position, runs the state government. But there's also a number of other statewide positions that have a major impact on how government runs or doesn't run. One of the offices is called the Comptroller's Office. The California Comptroller is in charge of the books, the money, the checkbook. And the Comptroller doesn't have to issue a payment if the Comptroller believes that the payment is unlawful. In other words, the Comptroller could actually cut off the endless flow of your taxpayer money to waste, fraud, and abuse. The challenge is, how do you win that powerful position in a blue state like California? Well, you need a good candidate. That's why Reform California has been issuing endorsements in every single race, including and especially the California Comptroller's race. Joining me is our endorsed candidate, Herb Morgan, running for California Comptroller in 2026. Herb, thanks for stopping by.
It is great to be here, Carl. Thank you. Thank you.
So let's start out first with what the position actually does. This is one of 8 statewide offices. You got the governor, lieutenant governor, treasurer, you've got the insurance commissioner, the superintendent of schools, the secretary of state, the attorney general, and then you got the guy or the gal, the comptroller, who has the checkbook. They're in charge of dispersing and cutting all the checks for state government. Besides that important role, what other powers does the California Comptroller have?
Well, the state comptroller, as you mentioned, Carl, is one of the 8 executive offices of the state. It's one people kind of don't think too much about. But I, like you, have been very sort of upset about the fiscal situation in our state. I have a hard time figuring out why we have the highest level of tax revenue of any state, the highest cost to the taxpayers of any state, yet we're always 50th out of 50 in terms of results. So I started researching it, and I said, well, whose job is it to make sure we aren't having money stolen or siphoned off? And quite frankly, a year ago, I wasn't sure. But as I researched it, what I learned is that the constitutional power of this office is actually greater than the other 7 offices. If you believe, like I do, that money's the most important thing. And money is the path to everything. It explains everything. It dictates everything. The comptroller is responsible for outflow. The comptroller is responsible for financial reporting, not just for the state of California, but also every one of our 58 counties, our 482 cities, our agencies like high-speed rail, all the way down to things like parks, school districts, rec centers, NGOs that take grants from counties who got money from the state. The state comptroller is the only person with authority to access their books, and they can't deny it.
So if you saw a grant or contract going to a far left-wing group that was engaging in politics, and you said, I'm not seeing them perform any public benefit with this contract or grant, and I see them doing a lot of politics, could you actually go in and say, I want to see the books to make sure that you didn't use any of this taxpayer money inappropriately for politics?
That's exactly what the office can do. Yes. So I could call up the city of XYZ tomorrow and say, I want to see your actual checkbook, every check written for the last 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, and send it to me. The governor doesn't have that power. You know how much you've struggled to find out what's in the books of a lot of entities Your colleagues in the Senate and in the Assembly are trying and trying. Literally, if the governor calls the high-speed rail authority today and says, send me your checks, your checkbook for the last 3 months, the high-speed rail authority could say no. I mean, how shocking is that? But the controller has this unlimited power to look at the books and dictate the method of accounting and reporting, which is the most important part.
The controller also has the ability to go in and audit and examine financial practices in school districts. You can actually go down to that level of government where we've had a lot of trouble. And you also serve on the pension board, the California State Pension Board. Tell us about that.
Well, the state controller, you're right. Anybody who touches state money is subject to audit at any time by the state controller. Current state controller does not exercise this power regularly. I believe she was specifically slotted into that position because of her lack of experience and ability. They don't want somebody asking questions. This is a $325 billion annual outflow. The
most experience she's had on financial transactions is she's bought a couple lotto tickets. That's about it. She doesn't even balance her own checkbook.
She was an administrative assistant.
She's picked numbers for lotto, and that's about as much numeric experience she's had.
She did have a little experience when she had her home foreclosed on and she forgot to pay her business taxes. So that's experience. I don't know if it's good or bad.
Sounds like someone you want to keep the public purse,
Yes. So yes, this authority of the state controller, it's the chief fiscal officer of the entire state. So if we want to get into Yolo County's finances or Stanislaus County or the city of San Diego or the San Diego Association of Governments or the San Diego County pension system, all of these things are the purview of the state controller, who also sits on 70 boards, including very powerful ones like Franchise Tax Board, very big, CalPERS and CalSTRS.
Yeah, it has the ability, this position, because it's elected, to go on all those misfit agencies because, the pension boards are corrupt. Certainly we've seen some of these other boards cooking the books, hiding the numbers, in embracing DEI policies. Like CalPERS just hired a $500,000 a year salaried position, a DEI advocate, to go and tell companies that they're investing in why they should embrace DEI and produce less returns for the taxpayers, making retiree assets more risky. So this is a wide-ranging position. It's pretty darn powerful. And if we could capture this position with a common sense candidate like yourself, it's a game changer. It would not just balance out some of the political corruption. It would improve the financial responsibility of our state government and reduce waste, fraud, and abuse there. So you've got our endorsement in the primary, and I think we'll be able to get you across the post because we're going to get people uniting behind one candidate with our voter guide in each of these races in the primary. But in the blue state of California, you're going to have to win independent voters and a lot of Democrat voters in the November runoff. What's your campaign plan to win?
Well, Carl, that's the greatest question. First of all, I'd like to say I am the DEI candidate because I want to detect every irregularity in our financial reporting system. So I like to have a little fun with words. People who follow me at Herb for Controller know that. But look, this is the office we Republicans have in the last 20 years, unfortunately, historically lost by the least.
Right.
So even though we're 26% of voter registration, we come in at 41, 42 of the governor's race. We come in at 44, 45 for the controller's race. So it's very, very winnable.
So you're talking about just having to make up about 5-point difference in a midterm election where turnout is everything, and we have voter ID on the ballot, so Republicans should be able to be more enthusiastic there. So that's good.
Right. So voter ID, what you've done, when I saw what you were doing with voter ID, I said, this is the year for Republican victory. Voter ID is going to inspire our team, the Republican team, to actually get out and vote. But I got to say this too. I don't think financial responsibility at the party level, financial responsibility is exclusively on the Republican ticket. But at the voter level, I think if you ask your friends and your loved ones, we all have them, people we know and respect that are rational people, they might be no party preference. They might be independent. They might be Democrat. Do you really think, from a financial perspective and operationally, the people in power in California have done the job properly and good? And the answer, of course,
not.
no. I uncovered $250 billion in fraud. I sent a memo to the president. The next day, the president came out and initiated this investigation. People are open, whether they're Republican or not, to having honest accounting. You notice there's no political position in that. Who could disagree with honest accounting and not stealing? And so I am very much positioning myself as a candidate that is in my lane. I will stay focused. I'm only interested in the financial issues for our state. And look, if you guys in the assembly want to allocate money to buy a pink flamingo to put in everybody's yard in the entire state, and you do
Don't
that,
give these Democrats any ideas. They'll start buying pink flamingos.
And I'm going to make sure we get a good deal on pink flamingos, that the distribution is proper, that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. It's not, I don't get to decide how we spend money.
Yeah, but if you saw that Medi-Cal was issuing payments on behalf of illegal immigrants for services and then fraudulently asking for reimbursements to the federal government, you could be an independent financial watchdog to say, hey, I've been looking at these transfers and I'm not so sure that they're legal. I'm not sure that they're compliant with all law, federal, state, local.
That's exactly right. The state controller, it's not that he can, it's actually he or she must. It's actually your job.
You're the watchdog.
You must do these things. And the other thing we have is when entities fail audits, like, we have every 2 years, the state auditor has their report, and we have entities that have been on the high risk list for literally 18 years, Carl, 18 years on the high risk list. And then new ones get added this year, CalFresh, CalSNAP, or the SNAP benefits through CalFresh. And you sit there and go, how is the controller not flagging this? And how is the controller not giving it to the attorney general? Same thing with the homeless, right? The $26 billion gone on the homeless side. It was the job of the state controller to make sure the money wasn't stolen. No news reports about this. It all points to, hey, here's the bad guy that stole the money and had the private jets. And it's rampant. In homeless services, I think the grift is about 60%. They're stealing from the most vulnerable of our population. They're stealing from the taxpayers. They're stealing from the assembly, from your pile of money that you have to allocate. But the controller's job is the one that's supposed to stop it and then go to the attorney general and say, here's what I've got, go prosecute. And in California, because the unions slot in incapable people who are afraid or just not qualified enough to ask these questions, there's been no prosecutions, zero, from any law enforcement agency in our state. It took the federal government and Bill Asaley to come in and say, we're going after this fraud. There's been 3 arrests, and that is just the beginning.
Oh, yeah, just the tip of the iceberg. And if we had someone to open up the financial books and the checkbook, we'd be able to get a lot more people quicker. Here's your website, herbmorgan.com, HERBMORGAN, herbmorgan.com. What I want you all to do is go to his website, check it out, chip in a contribution if you can. You got to put gas in the tank of each of these good candidates that we've been bringing you. There are 8 statewide candidates, and we're going to issue an endorsement in each of those races. In fact, we've gotten an endorsement in all the races except for governor, but we hope to get a governor's endorsement soon. We want to get down to 1. The goal in the primary is to make sure every good candidate we're backing, including Herb Morgan, make it into the runoff. And then with voter ID on the top of the ticket, make sure that we can spike Republican turnout and win enough Democrats and independents over with common sense candidates like Herb. Herb, some final remarks for folks to get them to support you.
Well, I think, the messages to Republicans and everybody else, first of all, it always bothers me when people think we Republicans aren't compassionate. We are so compassionate. We want to have the most efficient and effective government services available. With a $325 billion budget, and Governor Newsom's asked for $350 for next year, with a budget that size, we're one of the richest places in the world, the richest state in the richest country. There's nothing we can't provide There's no university system we can't build at the highest level, prisons, parks, roads, K through 12, pre-K, community college, job training, immigrant services, health services, all of that. If we just modernize our financial system, what I will do is I'm going to put every transaction online every day for everybody to see. I call it radical transparency. Radical transparency will dissuade theft and fraud at the outset. Number two, we're going to go back 8 years. When we publish the data, it won't just be prospectively, it will be retrospectively. 8 years of transaction level reporting that we're going to put out for everyone to see, not only in California, but in the entire country.
That's marvelous. And again, who can argue with transparency, whether you're a Democrat or Republican or somewhere in between? Let's just have the truth. What went on with our money? Who got it? And did it have an impact?
If we're wrong and they're not stealing the money, and believe me, they're stealing the money.
Yeah.
Transparency proves it.
Right. Settle the debate. Transparency, who can be against it? Well, Herb, we're so glad that you're running. I've known Herb Morgan for 25 years. He is absolutely top shelf. And we have to make sure that we really unite behind him, work hard to get him into this office, because it is a game changer. We win one office in 2026. If it is the comptroller's race, that is absolutely a game changer financially and politically in the state of California. I encourage you to check out all of our endorsed candidates at our website, reformcalifornia.org. And we have a voter guide up there. Click under voter guide and you'll see all the choices, statewide offices, all the way down to school board and everywhere in between, including state legislature and Congress at reformcalifornia.org. Until next time, I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California and a California state representative. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. But before you click away, please subscribe to this channel and click that notification button so you get updated when we post new episodes. Plus, like this video and share it with your friends so that we can help spread our message across the state. Reform California with Carl DeMaio is paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly.